It's pretty crazy to think that Duggan is let go after this. Never appreciate he just left being a top guy with Watts because he felt like he wasn't going to make the money he could with the WWF. They have this incredible opportunity for WrestleMania 3. He's a bigger star than ever. They're rocking and rolling. 6 weeks later, seemingly after WrestleMania, it all maybe 8 weeks, it all comes crashing down. He's arrested before he goes to the show. I think a lot of people think that happened late in the evening after a show. This is the afternoon on the way to a show. So he works in Asbury Park that night, and then he's unceremoniously shown the door. Hey, you'll never work here again, or something like that was what was said.
When was the first Royal Rumble?
January of '88.
Yeah, there's because Duggan.
Here's what I wanted to say though. He gets shown the door. He's out. He doesn't even come back into a WWF ring until the Paul Bosch retirement show. And I think that was probably just because he was familiar with the area. He was a big star in the area. He put over DiBiase. That was the end of August. It's mid-September before Duggan gets back up and going again. So he sits home this entire time thinking, well, I'm screwed. I've lost my opportunity. Did any of that trickle down into your dad? Like, does your dad hold a meeting and say, guys, this is a cautionary tale of what could have happened. Y'all better not be commingling, blah, blah, blah.
Him and Lawler both were sticklers on that. Yeah, as long as the territory is open, they look, and people did it and had to, but it was taboo, certainly in 87. You just didn't do it, period. I remember Eddie Gilbert, so that would have been maybe 88. He's like, hey man, why don't you ride with me? And I'm just like, Eddie, like, your dad and my grandfather partners. I'm young and like, no, I'm not going down that road. He's like, oh, no, don't worry. But anyway, yeah, it was taboo for heels and baby faces to ride together. And I think pretty much across the board, and yeah, cautionary tale. And look, it's always happened in this business since they were making towns, but it was always either way under the radar or heavily discouraged.
I mean, back in the day, I've hung around with my mother-in-law enough to know that back in the day, they just hung out at one of the guys' houses. Like in the old territory days, it would be, hey, all the families go over to so-and-so's house. And then there's no public. We're in some dude's backyard, and that's how we fellowship. Speaking of fellowshipping, we're going to have a little bit of fellowshipping happening, I'm sure, because before you know it, on June 2nd, the Honky Tonk Man, who, well, he did a thing or two in Memphis. He's going to beat Ricky Steamboat to win the Intercontinental Championship at a television taping in Buffalo. And the match is actually going to air in mid-June on the syndicated Superstars show. And allegedly, this is done because Steamboat is going to be taking some time off because he's going to have the birth of his first child in July. He wants to come off the road, be more of a family guy. But I'm curious the effect that this may have had on a young Jeff Jarrett, because now you've seen that a guy who came through Memphis like Randy Savage could go up there and have this opportunity and become the Intercontinental Champion. But now a guy who's related to Jerry Lawler. It doesn't get more ingrained in Memphis from the area.
First cousin.
Yeah, first cousin. He's a part of not even really the extended family, but we'll call it the extended family. And now he's getting a big opportunity in the WWF, not just as an enhancement guy. He's the doggone Intercontinental Champion. What did a young Jeff Jarrett think about the Honky Tonk Man making it to the top of the mountain in the WWF?
So the first time that I ever laid eyes on Wayne Ferris, Conrad, I was probably 10, 11 years old, Nashville Fairgrounds. A guy that worked for my dad picked me up on Saturday afternoon. I don't know, 4 or 5 o'clock. We go to the wrestling matches. I'm sitting on the back of ringside. I didn't go into the dressing room at that time until after the show, till my dad got done wrestling all this. But it is Jerry Jarrett versus Tojo Yamamoto versus Larry Latham and Wayne Ferris. Larry Latham later was Moondog Spot. Wayne Ferris became the Honky Tonk Man. They were called the Blonde Bombers, and they were managed by Sargent, who later became nightmare, Danny Davis. And Wayne was this blonde-headed, crazy-ass bad guy that was hated by everybody in the Nashville sports arena. They just were a good heel tag team. And so that was my first experience. And then, these not that too long later, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, there he is, Lawler's first cousin. And I didn't know that at the time when I saw him as the Blonde Bomber and all this. And you see him in this gimmick, but I didn't call it. This is his new deal. He was just so impressive. And Jimmy Hart, obviously, my man Jimmy, and the relationship we had, and he'd gone up there, and he was always spoke so highly of from my dad and my grandmother. And he left. I just always heard, yeah, Jimmy left the right way, Randy left the right way. Just out a ton of respect. But Honky Tonk getting this slot and getting this spot, it was for a 19, 20-year-old Jeff Jarrett, it was, hell yeah, that's good stuff right there. Again, I'm so young in the business, and I just want to get better every night. That was my whole mindset.
As a reminder, too, the Honky Tonk Man was not always a heel. Now, of course, when we watch back, that's what we want to remember. But when he debuts in '86, they're trying to make him a Lawler-like babyface. That doesn't go as well. He pivots to heel, and man, he got white hot there. It really worked. Were there any other guys in the Memphis territory who you feel like, and you and I have spoken about the fact that there was a Memphis bias. There's a Tennessee bias. People would say, and I've heard Bruce say it a bunch, oh, that's that Memphis bullshit. That's the way people would say it. Oh, it's that Memphis shit. Oh, it's that Tennessee shit, whatever it may be. And we're talking about gimmick matches, and because we're running the same territory successfully, by the way, the same people who are criticizing that Memphis bullshit, well, they're not selling very many tickets in their territory. Y'all are still selling 8,000 or 9,000 every Monday. So something's working. But with the benefit of hindsight, were there other talent that you think, if given the similar opportunity to Honky Tonk Man, they could have achieved for Vince McMahon?
When you look through the years at the talent that came through Memphis, the short answer is, Conrad, the cream always rise. And that's a lesson that I've learned, sometimes the hard way, but the cream always rises to the top. When you look at all the amount of talent that have come through, I mean, Dutch later in his career, Uncle Zeb and his run up there on that, Dundee, he was in his 40s, but he was still doing big box office, and he had little stints here and there. But guys that should have but didn't, I can't really say that there isn't anybody, because look, everybody just Sting and Warrior came through. They did their short stint there. They were super green. Sting will tell you the story. They just weren't ready. Well, they were in the process of developing, and at the time they'd kind of worn their welcome out. So again, nobody would have ever dreamed when Mole Man said, hey, we're going to have to finish you up. And then, within 18 months, Sting, and that's what's crazy in a fun way about this business. In 18 months, they're both champions in the big two companies. And my dad finished both of them up because they had been around the horn and they were just super green. But if you're going to make it, you're going to make it.